We have some serious coping going on from Randy Pitchford. This comes to us from Grums. He says Randy Pitchford warns that Borderlands 4 may have hitches and on lower end hardware. Scott Dude said, I've been playing Borderlands 4 since last week. It is absolutely awesome, but it is also in desperate need for a day one optimization patch on PC. Crashing, hitching, stuttering, freezing galore. I mean, I don't know how a game could be awesome and then you follow it up with it's crashing galore, hitching, stuttering, freezing galore. Like it's just that's happening all the time. How could it be an awesome game if that's all? When you say galore, that means it's happening all the time. It's almost like he's trying his best to say it's good, but also try to be honest with people. Like he's trying to pretend because he got the copy in advance. He's trying to be nice. And Randy Pitchford jumps in. For what it's worth, I may be conflating recommended, in quotes, specs with required specs. 2K QA collaborating with our engineering team at Gearbox sets the standard, and 2K QA reports indicate that they are able to achieve 60 frames per second average with minimum spec PC on typically medium settings. Different PC configurations will vary. HDD versus SDD is also a factor for the hitching. And yes, day one patch has some key improvements and optimizations. I just want everyone to have realistic expectations for performance. And when I see that line right there, that is a cope. That is, hey guys, there's going to be problems. This is me warning you to go into it knowing that there are issues, hopefully to dull the pain and dull the frustration that you have so that you don't go cry about it. It's not going to work. He says, this is a big open AAA game and lower end. It's a big open AAA game. It's fucking cell shaded. I've seen here's the trailer for it. Here, look at this. Look at this. Tell me what is so crazy about this? Like if you were to tell me this was Borderlands 1 remastered with better, I guess, graphic. I don't know. It looks exactly the same. This looks a little bit nicer here. This doesn't look too cell shaded here in the cutscene, but up close, it's still cell shaded. What the hell? Why is it stuttering with these graphics? Marvel Rivals runs just fine. Looks exactly the same. You could say. I am dumbfounded by this, but he continues. This is a big, open AAA game, and lower end and older hardware may not perform as well as higher end modern PCs, which he's trying to already tell people right off the bat, like, oh, hey, if your PC is a little bit older, don't bother playing this game because it's not going to run well. I've asked for some assets to be generated to show a range of specifications and how they perform with different settings to help users decide. We're confident in the game's performance and optimization, especially given what the software is doing under the hood. So that's Randy Pitchford and his massive cope. MR3D Dev says, look, I agree games with Unreal have problems, but you cannot expect to run everything well on older hardware. Very true. Very true. I'm not expecting older hardware to run this game flawlessly. My concern is that they did not optimize this game whatsoever, and this is a cope, because this was Scott Dew from Destructoid reviewing the game and saying, yeah, we got it early and it was great, except for a galore of crashing, hitching, stuttering, and freezing. And I'm pretty sure Destructoid was not playing it on an older PC. You never know, but still, that's concerning. And Grums follows it up with quote tweeting Pirate Nation here. Pirate Nation said, Borderlands 4 performance optimization is poor. At 549 with RTX 4080 and frame gen on, it achieves 6270 frames per second. Without frame gen, it drops to 30 frames. With a 4080, that's not old hardware. 4080 is legit. That's legit. Grum says, Oh no, Borderlands 4 needs frame gen to reach 60 frames per second on a 4080. I think game companies forgot that COVID and supply chains and AI happened, jacking up GPUs out of the price range of gamers. They never adapted and just assumed everyone kept upgrading. It's always good to target low system specs. We always did at OG Blizzard. People laughed the even then relatively simple WoW graphics, which they did, by the way. But it worked. EQ devs at E3 stood at our booth and laughed, but they work. I don't know if I believe this, Grums, because I will tell you firsthand, boots on the ground. If you don't know, hey, here's my pirate software. I used to work at Sony Online Entertainment. And when I saw the devs working on EQ and the QA and the customer support and making the game, as their job, part of the job every day, in-game tech support, always running EQ. The second that the time hit to go on break or go on lunch, their computer screen flipped from EQ to WoW. People at Sony Online were addicted to World of Warcraft, but they never wanted to let anybody know that. So I press X to doubt that EQ devs stood at E3 and at the booth and laughed, unless it was like before the game came out, maybe. Maybe that's what he's referring to. But once the game did come out, the EQ devs and everyone there played World of Warcraft, which was funny to me. I remember like walking through the hallways, just looking at every computer at lunchtime, and everyone's just playing WoW. And I was like, this is crazy. I remember I talked to my QA lead about it, and I was like, we're playing the competitor's game. This can't be good for the longevity of this company. And he looks at me, just rolls his eyes. He's like, yep. Anyways, PC Gamer says, Gearbox Boss says Borderlands 4 day one patch does a lot, but warns that players should have realistic expectations about performance. I'm telling you, everyone is sweeping in professional journalism and the professional quote unquote games industry for 2K and Randy Pitchford right now. They all want to remain on his good side. They're all taking terrible things are happening right now, but we're just going to be nice anyways and hope for the best out of this. Older hardware may not provide buttery smooth performance. Of course. Look, Randy, no one's expecting that. No one. You go into that expecting that, people are going to laugh at you. Of course, older hardware is not going to run buttery smooth, but a 4080 should. It should. And this is classic. Sweeping for Randy in 2K. It's good advice, really. Tell me they're not a little bit biased here, pushing this game. Borderlands 4 is now just a few days away. M-. Here's the full rundown of global release times. M-. And Randy Pitchford has confirmed, and what should come as absolutely no surprise to anyone, that there will be a day one patch. It does a lot, the Gearbox boss promised, but it's not working. It's not going to work miracles. And he said players with low-end PCs should have quote-unquote realistic expectations for how the game will run on their rigs, which again, this whole thing, like, why would you even say that? This is meaningless. That second part talking about if you have a low-end PC to say, oh, you have realistic. Nobody that I know logically would be complaining about a game running poorly on old hardware. Nobody. For a brand new AAA title, they would probably go into it expecting that they might have some hiccups and problems. I'm talking about people with 4080s and above. That's kind of the bar we're setting here. I don't even think I have a 4080. I think I have a 4070. Like 4080 is legit. The expectation for using a below minimum spec machine should be the game is unplayable. Pitchford said on X in response to a player of a preview build who was struggling with performance. It's a big, bold, new, seamless world, and I'm sorry to say that older hardware, older hardware may not provide buttery smooth performance for the latest gen AAA games, as has always been the case since the dawn of PC gaming, which again, nobody is arguing this. That little note of always has been at the end of the reply comes off, to my reading at least, as just a tad defensive. Maybe it's your fault Borderlands 4 doesn't run well on your PC because you've been limping along with a craptastic potato for way too many years. Hey, according to Randy Pitchford, what were his words? If you're a big enough Borderlands fan, you will find a way to make it work. And you will find a way to buy that 50, 90 or whatever the titan of graphics cards is right now. You'll find a way because Randy Pitchford knows that you're a big fan of Borderlands. It's also a hard truth. I remember feeling indignant and outraged and resigned to being poor for the rest of my life on learning that this game or that required a hard drive or a 386 CPU. Ridiculous. But yes, it is the way of PC gaming. You invest ridiculous amounts of money to the that's the thing. It's not ridiculous amounts of money. You really, if you want to do it on the cheap, you can literally buy, I know people laugh, but you can buy a pre-made PC with a 4070 at Costco for like $1,000 on sale, or $1,100, $1,200, something like that. It's not like, yes, that's expensive, but you don't need to keep updating and buying a new PC every 2 years, every 3 years, like you do with game consoles. I'm talking like 7 years or 12 years or 15 years to get the latest graphic card to keep up with it. And at that point, you're talking $500, maybe $600 for the graphics card for the low end. It's really not that much to ask for your PC to keep it up to date. But again, potato. Shortly after the message went up, Pitchford copped to possibly conflating recommended specs with required specs and said 2K quality assurance is able to achieve 60 frame per second average with minimum spec on typical medium settings. And I want to showcase this here that I found. This was on the Steam community. This is from Acolyte. He says 30 frame per second with an RTX 4080 and 60 to 70 with frame gen on. Pre-order canceled. And this guy, Radio Luck Coder, if you're a real Borderlands fan, you'll find a way to make your 5090 run above 30 frames per second. So here's the video that they shared, and I fast forwarded to the part that they talk about it. I'll focus on this because this is wild stuff. It's not good. It's not good.
Interested, and Borderlands 4 is delivering on that front. Now let's take a turn and talk about performance because it is a bit ropey at the moment. On our RTX 4080 rigs and
on a 4080 RTX, they say it's a little ropey at the moment. That would make me a little bit hesitant getting excited about this game releasing in 4 days or 3 days.
i7 CPUs, frame rates were solid enough, around 60 to 70 in cluttered combat moments and boss fights with frame gen on. Without it, it dips down to 30 to 40.
That, again, I feel like we have this conversation every time a AAA game comes out, and now in 2025. We are in 2025. Why is the benchmark that these companies are aiming for 30 frames per second? It should be legitimately, I know it's laughable, but it should be 120. It's 2025 with the graphical processing powers these computers have. And they still, I know we're thinking Ubisoft with Star Wars Outlaws and stuff like that. They still struggle to get past 30. Like, do at least, can you bare minimum 60 frames per second with the generational leaps of hardware? What the hell is the problem? Are you just filling the game world with so much extra shit that it can't run? Because you were running games with 60 frames per second last generation. What happened between then and now where it's dipping to 30? Why can no one explain that to me? And so to make up for it, they're doing frame generation instead and involving AI with it.
But honestly, it's completely playable, and since with frame gen you have over 60 pretty much all of the time, it feels great. The bigger issue though is stuttering. Moving through areas quickly often causes hitches and brief freezes, which really breaks up the flow of things.
That is bad. Did you see that? Oh my God, hold on.
Freezes, which really breaks up the flow of things.
That reminds me of like the original Halo on the original Xbox. When you'd go into a new zone and it would click for the save, it would do that little bit of a hiccup. But it's like, that's the original Xbox. You expect it going into that. Well, how is that stuff still happening right now?
Supposedly, this is going to be fixed in the day one patch, and to be fair, the stability...
There's another one right there. It just froze again. This is bad.
itself is excellent. Neither of us have had a single crash so far, but still the stuttering is something that really needs addressing. Another co-op issue we ran into is that if you're not the party leader, sometimes your bullets just don't connect to enemies.
What?
In the middle of a fight, that can be incredibly frustrating, so hopefully it's something that Gearbox is aware of and working on.
That's crazy.
On the other side of things, I play on mouse and keyboard, while 2.6 plays on controller. And I want to point out that the default sensitivity on the mouse was weirdly high. I had to lower it by a whole 20% across the board to make it feel normal, and that's unusual for me because I basically never adjust my sensitivity settings in any game, and my mouse is always set to my specific DPI.
Weird.
It's not a deal breaker, but it's just worth flagging if mouse and keyboard players feel it's a bit off. Now, overall, Borderlands 4 is shaping up to be the most fun I've had with the series since Borderlands 2. The expanded builds, the smoother combat.
Again, the shilling for 2K games, skipping right over 3 and going to 2 to try to get people hyped for it. Like, come on, bro. Who are you fooling with this? We just watched the gameplay of the hiccup, the stutter, the hiccup and stutter. You're saying the bullets don't even hit the enemies, but hopefully they fix it in a patch. You know, I got my fingers crossed. If these bullets start hitting these enemies when I'm not the party leader and the game doesn't crash on me and hiccup on me, it's like the best game ever. I mean, how many qualifiers did he hit us with before he said it's the most fun he's had?
Better loot variety and a more alive.
And why do they always need a day one patch to fix these things? Shouldn't you be fixing it? Like, as a former QA tester, these are the things that should be fixed during creation of the game, not after it's gone gold and is about to be sold. That I don't understand. Ubisoft is probably the number one culprit of doing this, but the day one patch stuff needs to stop. This needs to be ready before it gets to day one.
World really captures that sense of discovery. The mission here was fun, the boss felt really engaging, and the co-op is super easy to jump into.
Yeah, the bullets might not hit, but it's easy to jump in.
But the technical issues are a real hindrance right now, and whether that gets fixed will really make or break it for a lot of people's experience.
I again, if I'm testing the game early and they sent me a review copy of it, and I'm in a multiplayer going online and I'm co-op trying to kill a boss, and I can't damage the boss, like, I'm not going to be praising the game and glazing it the entire time. I would be shitting on it. I'd be like, what the hell is this? How can this game go out to the public? My bullets aren't even hitting the guy. What the hell? This is a massive red flag. Like, massive. He's glazing over it like, oh, yeah, maybe they'll fix this with the day one patch. Here's hoping they do. Assuming they do. And there's a lot of assumptions. Assuming everything's fixed. Game's going to be great, guys. Nothing to worry about. So pre-order it or something, maybe. For, what is it, $70? With Borderlands 1 and 2 that I bought for $5 each when they were on sale. What would make anybody rush out to buy this game day one? Like, genuinely. Even the most hardcore of hardcore Borderlands fans. Hearing this, seeing the stutterings, the breaking, maybe it works better on console. I don't know, but on PC, bro, I am not having any faith on this right now.
Still, from what I've played so far, the core gameplay is really strong and engaging. We'll need way more hours in the endgame to know how it holds up, but my impressions in the context of this mission is that it's very promising. So that's it for our preview of
I mean, hey, I guess if you've been the thing is, if you've been a huge fan of the Borderlands series and you love this series, like everything about it, I'm sure you'll go into it just having a great time because your brain is already made up. It's a great series and I love it and it's awesome. But for a casual enjoyer of it, seeing what this guy just showed and what he said about it, I'm like, bro, sorry, no, I got other games I can play that don't have these issues. Why would I spend $70 on this thing? I could exactly. I could buy Silk Song 3.5 times over. Like, what? I could buy Expedition 33 and have $20 left over. I could buy Silk Song and Expedition 33 and not have any of these issues. That's a crazy, crazy buying proposition. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it. But I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of backlash when this game comes out. And I'm sure eventually they're going to address the problems and fix them. I don't think all of them are going to be fixed on the day one patch. Hopefully many of them are, but most of them will still be there. And eventually they'll get these fixed down the road. And if that's the case, what's your rush in buying it day one? Again, going back to get it right before you ship it. What is your rush? It's almost like they're trying to hit a deadline for the investors instead of making sure it's right before it heads out the door. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm very curious to see how this game sells and what the concurrent player count on Steam is going to be with it when it does eventually launch. So we'll keep an eye on it. But I will leave that one there.